Hello. Let me just. All right. Hello. My name is Goran Mekic, or Meka. You're watching Tilda Center's podcast on the topic of CBSDng, and I obviously hate vowels. So, uh, to start off, let's see what those letters mean at all. BSD is a Berkeley System Distribution. CBSD is a project uh, I'm somewhat contributing. It's a containerized BSD, right? And NG is usually used for new generation, which means that there is some new idea that should not be part of existing system. So just give me a sec. Maybe interesting. All right. So what I'm trying to show you today is on one side what does having a terminal has to do with executing commands and why we do it like that and how we do it at all. When you want to write a shell, how do you do it? And the second part is how do you automate like the boring stuff in development. And that's a really long title for I use Vim, but uh, as you're going to see, it doesn't matter which editor it is. If it does these few tricks for you, you basically don't care. So let's see what's under the hood. So just a sec. Right, I'm gonna start the development, which is this is something I'm proud of. It's a project based on CBSD called Reggae that automates starting of your project, and one of the main characteristics of projects that are nicely automated and how to say comfy to use for development or those that do not have external services. If you can't run everything locally, then yeah, it cannot be automated that well. So yeah, let's see what we have here. First, there are four terminals through Tmux. Uh, all terminals except one are running in a separate jail. So we have three jails here. And if we take a look, yeah, that's daemon, CBSDng, and front end for the web. And only this number one is running on the actual host, and uh, it's responsible for executing CBSD commands. So let's see what we have when I say the terminal. Um, I need to. Oh, right. I pre-built. Uh, I didn't. Let's see. So ls is okay. For start, we don't need these two for now. So let's start again. If I'm trying to list all my jails, this is how it looks like. So this terminal here is where the it's inside the jail called Demon. Not very intuitive name, but for the CBSDng, that's where Demon is going to run. I mean, you can in the future you can make a demon executing actually SSH something than running um, running your uh, CBSD commands on a different host through SSH, but this is a little bit too far fetched for now. But yeah, that's the reason why the shell is executed inside a daemon jail, right? I created only one jail for those two. And it's listing all my jails, but let's say I want to log into some of the jails. And this is the four as I've got. So first thing, I got gibberish on my keyboard. That's really annoying because when I press enter, this is what I get. Next time it's all cool, but this is what I get as a first error, and that's something that tells you, okay, how about before you start typing commands, flush everything from the input because maybe there's some garbage. Anyway, if I type ls minus l, you're gonna see it like this. So let me let me try to describe the problem because otherwise everything is fine. Uh, so I'm pressing L and you can see it. Now I press S and you still can see it. Space dash L enter. So only on enter you can see the what's going on. And let me show you why or why I think that's going on. So part of the answer is that you have to, all right, that you have to run, that you have to set up your actual terminal, your window that acts like a terminal. Is it Xterm or electricity? I don't even know what's the name of my terminal. Uh, but anyway, anything you use, it has to either accept default config for that terminal or set it up something like this. Now, you can see the bunch of echoes here that are these lines are or. So all these values are bitwise ORed together and then say, okay, not that. The the other value, the other value meaning a logical not, or all zeros become ones and vice versa. And this is how we are turning off uh, terminal flags. There is input control line, and I think there's output, but I'm not sure. So I'm obviously still researching this, but all echoing being disabled means that you can see while typing. Why? Because the idea is to set to send the keyboards the keystrokes to the daemon, which sends it to a CBSD command or whichever command is running currently. So you can say kind of like SSH, right? You're on a different machine, but all your keystrokes behave like you're using the terminal. Now, let's see what happens. Oh yeah, this is what is going on here. I'm turning off almost everything that the terminal does for me. Terminals are, by the way, have two ends. One is on the right on the user side, and the other side of the terminal is your program. So you can see that for standard input. So this is where I'm setting those flags of the new terminal. Uh, I'm disabling all kind of hacking and some of the signals and whatnot. So I'm making it as dumb as possible. So that's why you're not seeing all the keystrokes happening. So let's see what if I disable this line. Now I should see bunch of gibberish while I'm typing. Right. Oh yeah. And I need you to see this. Okay. Right. So you can type exit and exit basically, but if by any chance you log in right now, so this is the I think part of the gibberish that my input is polluted with. So this is something I have to eat up or drain. Anyway, now you can see uh, key strikes, but uh, they are on my terminal. They are not sent to the daemon yet. So how do I know? Because this is my terminal, and this is what uh, um, the command and the daemon returned. So this is not real time, and this is what I'm struggling with. How do you configure on one end the configuration on a terminal in shell, and the other one, the other part of that problem is, let me just find it. Oh my god, there's a lot of red here. I actually fixed this, but all right, this is the line I'm looking for. Um, what Daemon does for me is it's running CBSD command that is which command that's on the shell to tell it. Okay, for now there is login, start, stop, and ls. Yeah, those four. So the problem is, how do you handle interactive commands like login? And you cannot just fork. Uh, I mean, basically you can, but then you have to set up the terminal yourself, and that's not fun. Uh, when you can just use fork pty pseudo terminal, and it behaves as part of this process ID. It behaves just like fork. So either PID is less than zero and then there's an error. PID is zero, that means I'm inside the child process, and inside the parent process, the PID has some value, and that value is the process ID of the child that was forked. And this little function is going to uh, even set your terminal to some value if you let it, or uh, like this. Sorry, like this is going to say to the parent process, okay, give me your It's going to be copied. The configuration of the terminal is going to be copied into the child. That if you say it's null. So this is same. This term is the same like those flags for input, control, and line in a shell. So I'm trying to figure out the combination that's going to work uh, right, and that's the frontier for me these few days. It's fun uh, because there's always some progress, and there is always some interesting problem that you don't have to worry about when you're using higher level languages and not solving this low level stuff. So this is part of a problem that I wanted to expose. Uh, Synchronizing terminal on your end and what child process thinks that it's a terminal, what is presented as a terminal to the child process, that needs to be synced. And I still haven't found a way how to do it because, oh yeah, I promised I will tell you what's the catch actually. Where is it? Yeah, here. This, this thing here says that terminal is canonical. That means it's not a raw terminal. It's gonna do some processing, and we probably don't want that. Why I say probably? Because you're gonna see an error now that iCanonical is turned off, because this is what it says. Okay, give me all the options and just bitwise order them, and then say, okay, let's give me not that value and logical not. So this is turning off all everything that is stated here is actually turned off. And this little thingy is a way to tell read. Okay, we're using somewhere here. We're using read from the input underneath the hood, and that read needs to return even if there's one character. Now this doesn't work, and let me show you what doesn't work actually means. So, okay, actually, let me show you something else first. If you type exit, you're going to exit normally, and that's fine. But, for example, Control D doesn't work, and it doesn't know what to do with it. But when you have non-canonical terminal means uh, row terminal, first there is absolutely nothing going on. At least it looks like there's nothing going on. For some reason, I'm getting it's called escape sequence. Okay, kill the whole line. Uh, on every keystroke, uh, whatever I type, it actually the daemon tells me, okay, whatever's on the input, kill it. Just delete everything, and I have to find why is that. But in this mode now, I'm gonna press Control D, and I logged out. So this is what a row terminal means. Whatever I get on the input, just transfer it wherever it needs to be transferred, and let that terminal handle it on its own. Uh, so if you need something shell alike, then it's not the easiest task in the world, but it's a lot of fun to learn how the systems work. How does your keyboard even gets those letters to some software browser, for example, or something like that. I mean, it's different because this is terminal that and the browser probably isn't, but it's still fun to learn how it all works. Now there is a trick I could use or a uh, dirty solution, and that is that this. All right. This code over here that is implementation of reading the terminal or the standard input can be configured to return when there's even one character uh, in buffer, right? I pressed some key. Uh, so don't wait for the line to end with enter. Just return it to me or wait, I don't know, like 1/10 of a second. I think the resolution is 1/10 of a second. Whatever comes first, react to it. And you can make like kind of feel that it's real time, but it's actually not. And it's a cool trick when you're using something like a menu based, terminal based thingy. But here I really wanted it to be live under your fingers, not feeling like there's some lag or something like that. Because when you use that, it's actually a cool little trick I used for synchronizing audio and MIDI because audio is faster than MIDI, and you configure the one of them to be one of the inputs for your program to be non-blocking. That means whenever I read from you, you're gonna tell me something. Either there is no data, or there is data, or there is an error. And if you configure the uh, connection to your daemon that is not blocking, and your terminal is waiting 1/10 of a second, if there's nothing, it's gonna tell you there's nothing. Now check the socket. That's a lot of reading when there's nothing actually, and I kind of hate that, but it would work. Uh, what I wanted to say is that there are situations where that kind of simple solution is actually really good uh, for the cases where the reading from media device is actually cheap and not done often enough, right? When you're synchronizing audio and MIDI, not the best way to synchronize, but really cool to get you there. So when you need to synchronize two things or multiple, like this, I need socket where the daemon is communicating with me, and I need a keyboard. Then maybe you can cheat with this technique. But what is done here under the hood is actually pretty simple. I think I can show. Okay, so this is using read, nothing special. But the read is special. And, so first, if there's something remaining in the buffer, read it. So first, drain the socket if you can. And okay, this is the line I'm looking for. KQ is it's actually an integer, but KQ and K event as library, right? Function calls really neat because uh, first you're going to configure the KQ in your constructor and tell it, okay, I'm interested in two events. Events meaning one is going to be the Unix socket and one is going to be the keyboard in the event of a shell. And you say, I'm going to have one target event where you're going to tell me what actually happened. So I initiate, and then this function is going to wait until either event happened or there was something on to be read from a keyboard or the socket. And this is really uh, cool little function, right? It gives so much power to not use, I don't know, threads or something like that to implement this. Like, notify me when there's something to be read. And how do you know what was read? Because we have only two events we're interested in. Either it's standard input, that's the keyboard, or it's not, so it's the socket. And whatever we do here is handling that situation. The code is not really important. It's a bunch of reads, right? So this is one little interesting um, thing that every day, every minute that you're typing is probably happening in your terminal and in your shell, uh, at least on FreeBSD. I think all BSDs have KQ and K event. Solaris and Windows have something else, and I think Apple has its own. No, the Linux has its own. It's called epool. Epool. Um, so it's kind of different. And if you want to write portable code, probably you want to use some higher level um library to actually do it for you, whatever the operating system and implementation is beneath it, just fix it for me. But as CBSD is running only on FreeBSD, I know I'm not uh, killing portability by using KQ directly. So FreeBSD. Uh, okay, there is second thing I wanted to show you is um, automation of the boring stuff in development. But give me just a sec. So there are always some boring tasks, right? That you always kind of start your class in the same way. You know part of a name of a variable of some object, but not really how it goes, so you need help. And you're gonna either look it up or you're gonna have some help. And by help, let's start with the most obvious one. I think this is going to work. All right. So these are all the values that my editor thinks are valid to be written after this arrow. And in the end of that list, you can see it's either a field or a method. So it means it's belonging to this object. I don't know why I have all this, but yeah. So these are all uh, my methods and fields. When I say my, I mean socket. And if you don't know the name, you can just scroll to it, and, for example, press enter. Now, this is one of the first, I think, the color coding or the keywords and stuff like that is one of the first things that happened that improved at least my editing, uh, because we're usually chasing colors. You know, there's experiment where in green letters it's written blue. So what are you going to read, right? Are you going to recognize a color, or you're going to recognize the letters as a shape? And color coding really helps me not to use my brain, which I really try, and I try to automate whatever. Now, of course, this expression is false. I was just trying to show you that auto completion is something you really want in your development. Now, the question is it going to make me a faster developer? No, because the most time we'll lose on the majority of time is lost understanding the code, reading man pages, uh, and I don't know, staring at the debugger or something. So it's gonna free you from the some of the boring tasks. So it is going to help. It's just not almighty um, solution to your problems of uh, writing code faster. It's gonna improve your speed, but that's not where you're spending most of your time. Uh, and most of developers are mostly reading code, not writing it. So yeah, even if you get some speed, it's not going to be that great. Anyway, I mean, on an overall project, but you're going to have so much less problems along the way. It's like driving on a highway and on a paved road, right? You can push your machine to get there at the same time, but it's not gonna be a nice ride. And what I was thinking is that we have the CBSDng is a project to host to make hosting easier on FreeBSD using CBSD, of course, and PF and ZFS and all the goodies. Uh, so I wanted for this part of demonstration, I wanted something that is web only to make it simple and to make it really, really quick. So let's start with I'm going to show you the technical part today. And then the next time, or if I'm really quick, this time I'm going to show you how do I stick my design on top of that. It really sounds terrible, like sticking a design onto something. But what I like to do is get the data to the front end first, see what data I'm dealing with, and then try to represent it with something more nice. So I realized that uh, I'm probably gonna want some like a template for my jail. When I say template, maybe let's call it a plan because template is everywhere. It's in C++, it's in Ginger template for Ansible, for uh, Python, for blah blah blah. So there are templates everywhere, and just to be verbally able to express what I'm talking about, let's call it plans. What I mean by a plan, uh, let's just imagine this is not yet implemented in a daemon, but just let's uh, think it is, pretend it's already there, and see how would we develop the rest of the web uh, UI and backend based on the assumption that we need to uh, have plans which are this much memory, this many cores, if you're going to pin it, and so on. So let's say that we want the simplest model ever for something that is called a plan, and we want the the plan to have only memory. How much memory my jail is going to use or my virtual machine. So when I start typing model, there is this list just like for autocomplete. But this first entity is special. Okay, let me maybe show you how special it is. How do you turn it on? All right. So the third, it's special because it's what is called a code snippet, and it's going to write the majority of code for you. This is not a really big snippet because you see only 4 lines here. Uh, but let's start with a simple one. We're going to need a plan, and that plan is going to have memory, which is all right. It's not a text field. Okay, let's say it's going to have a name, text field, and it's going to have memory, which is going to be, I think, integer field. I think sure, but we're about to find out. All right. So this is one example of a snippet, and it's cool. Uh, it's not it's not too fancy. Let's see one fancier. So when we have the model um, for the plan, and that model means it's going to be translated into the database structure. I'm gonna show you that in a moment. When we have model, then we have our data in a database about the plan. And if I want to write, uh, if I want to write API for it, then I'm going to use also snippet, but this is obviously a longer one. And what I'm going to do is just write the plan here, and it's going to populate the plan as a word for me in other places. Like this is comment. There is even plural, right? And as a model, is gonna capitalize the first letter, so it's a plan. So this snippet does much more, so that there is plan ID and blah blah blah. But the idea is that you get most of your code as well. I said I'm not gonna call it template, but yeah, this is a template. It's a snippet of code that is going to be populated by the name of the either model in this particular instance or some other thing. And let's see how it works. Uh, no, I don't want this. Uh, there is a plugin called Ultisnips, and it says print the name, what it does, because if I write print it, right, you can see, I try to show you with my hand. You can see there's five basic methods, and it comes from this comment. And this snippet is has some variables. They call it something stop. This top stop, I think. Uh, dollar and then the number, or more, how to say, more complex. What is what is does is take the first word, take this what dollar one is, and capitalize it. So in here you can see it's planned when here it's capital P, and here is not. And I just typed in plan and it figured out using these transformations what should my actual code in the end look like. And this is one of the really cool things. Now, let me show you. This is not over because this plan schema and stuff like that needs to be written, but which are we going to do in a minute. I just want to show you how to register an API in Frontend when you write a new one. So, damn it, come on. So we're going to have a plan here, and I'm going to have from, where am I? All right, API plan import, uh, and it knows it's a blueprint. You can even use it like this, right? So what? Why are you screaming? But unused. Oh yeah, as planned. Sorry, and this is not a string. So yeah, this is not long enough to break it like this, but every project now, sooner or later, becomes has multiple endpoints and blueprints in this, as it's um, transformed into the Flask and API REST API structures. So one blueprint is usually five set of five functions uh, in the list in and detail. And why is that? Because you want to get the list, you want to get one the details of one, whatever it is. You want to create it, edit, and destroy it, right? So these are the basic operations that any model and any DB record have. So that's probably the start of your implementation. Sometimes it's all you need to do is just those five functions are pretty much covering all the, uh, well, most of the model usage. So this is how you register it. And now all the hell is going to break loose. Let me show you that. Now this is not going to work naturally because we need more code to write. Ha! It's so not going to run. It's so invalid that it even backend breaks. So yeah, I can't even show you that I actually registered it. Okay, never mind. I know how to fix it. So we need a schema for our model. And schema for a model means that there's a new uh, I'm really not good at typing and talking at the same time. So yeah, there's another snippet to create your schema for your model, and what the schema does is um it's like a filter between your object and your REST API, your JSON. It's gonna use your when it's a GET request. It's gonna take your object and filter it based on these fields. So is and based on those fields is gonna create JSON as a string. Uh, yeah, JSON as a string and send it to front end. And it's gonna do the opposite when there is a post request or a patch from the front end. It's gonna take the string as a JSON string, and it's gonna create your object out of it. There's actually one intermediate step in converting everything into sorry into Python dictionary, but the end results are either JSON string or an object most of the time. And this is how the schema looks like. Uh, this is what we actually want, I think. Let me just check. So we have a name in memory, and we have a name in memory here. So let me see if. Oh, I'm not showing you the editor. Sorry. Um, so this is how the schema looks like. Sorry once more. I'm new to streaming like this. The schema knows what fields to filter from your objects, from your dictionaries, and so on. So you don't have to. And it's usually easier to write these few lines than actually parsing the string into whatnot and taking elements from it and so on. And how it's actually used, if you look at the uh, post for, well, let's start with get. Uh, Ignore this one for now. Uh, Response is, I'm looking at the instance. No, wait, wrong one. Sorry. So, uh, response is going to be filtered through plan page out schema. And that's what this is going to create out of this and stick it into this module. So although I never wrote plan page out schema is going to be here because of this call. And uh, what it's going to do is I'm going to take the query, I'm going to run it through pagination. That means like give me 10 at a time or 20 at a time, how many you configure it, and return that as a structure. And that structure is taken by this response and uh, convert it into the JSON string. Why I say you should ignore this because it's about the which page do you want, how many in the page, and so on. So this is not really interesting, but this is for the post. Okay, take the same schema, and when somebody sends me ID, name, and memory, put it into args, which is Python dictionary, and do the same way when return something from this function. Take that result, which is a plan here, which is obviously a model, the model of sorry, this model, right? And it's going to take that plan, run it through the response schema, and then get the JSON string. Same thing goes here, just the other way around. Take it as string, parse it, put it into arguments, and then create the object out of those arguments. Now, this is how most of the API works. Obviously, you have to uh, get someone or issue 404, and same with patching is when you send, okay, just change the memory but don't change the name. That's patch. It allows you to send only one field from the whole model. Now this can be 20 fields, right? But you can send one of them, and this is why partial is set here, and that's how it works. Delete. I think I don't need to. If you can read this, then you know how it works. And now this should fail too. Because it's not. Uh, it's only code. I didn't write anything to the database. So I just logged in into the backend as a user devil, which is UID and user ID and group ID are mapped to my user on the host. So user source is shown like this. Uh, like the devil is the devil is the owner. But yeah, all files belong to this user, and on the host is let me show you actually backend, and it's same files. So you can see it's obviously mine. So this is one of the neat tricks I built into the reggae that I didn't find in Docker Compose. Doing this was ugly. It's not impossible, it's just really ugly. And so I can edit here, and if I run Flask, wow, no error. That's strange. I usually write crappy code, so we have migration, and that migration can create new migration that is called a plan because we're creating a new plan. And when we check out in editor, what does that actually mean? So this is written, and what I usually do is strip it a little bit. It's easier to read when there is less code. So, all right. I don't know if you saw that this line jumped, right? But it was like this, and when I save it, actually formats everything so it's a PEP 8 compliant. Now you might want format it like this. It's up to you, right? And Python and actually Vim. I use now Vim, but it's same for Vim, and you're gonna hear a lot of Vim this, Vim that, and I use actually a different editor, but the key bindings are the same, the plugins are the same, so it's good to me. So Vim knows when there's something in Python that is imported and never used. And this is why it's putting all these yellow dots on the left and telling me, hey, there's something wrong, right? This line here says you never used that. And there is a key binding in a space Vim. It's comma, yeah, the comma and A are gonna clean up your imports. So only what you need is actually imported, but it cannot figure out this try except and then exceptions in Python, because when you're importing an except in a try block something, uh, it doesn't know the to remove actually the whole block, not just the import. So once again, comma A, and it cleans up the code, and I do this kind of cleanup. So it's tidier, right? It's easier to read, and your editor can help actually having nicer migrations. All right. So, oh, you don't see the first line. So the first line is like this, and even if I save it like this, it says too many blank lines. If I save it like this, it's gonna format it as needed, and you get a nice code. So this is also if you work in a team and you have, how to say, a verbal agreement about the styling, then maybe your colleagues are not going to respect that always. But if you have PEP or uh, automation that formats your code in a certain way, then probably everyone is going to write like that because the editor is going to do it for them. Now, writing the initial uh, rules might be tricky to negotiate, but that's actually a social problem. Anyway, this is what you get with the migration. This is how migration actually looks like, and it's gonna create. Oh yeah, this shouldn't even be here. The migrator is not the best in the world, but it's improving and it's becoming a lot more like Django one. So it's gonna get there. In the meantime, this automation with the editor is acceptable if you look at other features that Flask and PV offer. Yeah, this is acceptable. So, what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you how are we going to run those migrations. Or you didn't even have to do that because Make Devil does that if everything works. And now the moment of truth. All right. So you can see this line that has this URL, and on that URL, give me just a sec. Browser here, all right? It's almost what I want. All right. Now you can see the whole browser. And this is what you get in that page. It's the whole API that has sections in them and um, our schemas and some that are auto-generated, like paging out partial ones and so on. And there is no plan. How come there is no plan? Why don't you work? No amount of preparation is enough for surprises like this, and I have no idea why do we have this problem in the first place. The create API is called, and my create API is here, and I'm registering. uh, Yet somehow my instances are here. Did it work? Oh, I'm not logged in. Okay. Maybe I could increase this a little bit. So this is how the login looks like, and it's gonna set the cookies. Uh, I should print out the tokens too, but hey, what the hell? Come on. Oh, all right. Yeah. How about now? I didn't start the daemon. Segmentation fault. Right. Everything is falling apart. And this is actually normal because I did something and I forgot I did it. Uh, what I did is I was trying to figure out the terminal that I showed, and I changed the daemon. And as the change is not done yet, it's not over. I'm not handling that in the backend, and it's not good right now. So, but I have no idea why I don't have any plan. Why? And why do I have instances at all? That's even weirder. This is the backend, right? Oh, hell. No. I'm doing it at the wrong place. Okay. Uh, so, should be done like this. And then I put my plan here. And this is actually, I don't think it's important. I think this is a relic that I need to clean up. But for now, leave it as it was. So, did I break something? Not yet. And let's see what it's going to do. Profile roles, users, instances. All right, there are my plans. And this is what it gets right now. Of course, there is no data because there is no plan yet entered, but let's create one. So the name is going to be, I don't know, basic jail, and the memory is going to be 124, whatever. Let's say it's megabytes. And if we create it, okay, it's created now. And when we go to get, da da, there's an error. Uh, oh, damn it. Um, I think I have a wrong type here. So let me show you what I mean. There. Oh yeah, I should use this integer. All right. Let me see. Does it break now? Yes. Why? Okay. I mean, this is why, but not type. What the hell? Okay. Let's see. How about the model integer? The what is what? So, what's the problem is not getting these types right. So let's say that plan.memory is 0. That's a strange 0. Is it broken yet? Yeah. So it's parsing. Hmm. But why? I'm not even trying to parse anything. This is ridiculous. Oh yeah, I did it here. Right. So this is what I should do. So it should say data as some array. It should say total. There's let's say 0 and pages. There are 0 pages. So when I run it, okay, now I'm gonna figure out the exact types that needs to be put into the problem is that there are multiple types for a number in schema and in the model, and there is integer and float, and I'm not sure which one is which and how it should be combined, but I'll figure it out and tell you in the next week, ideally. So by then you're just gonna trust me. This is how I write my code, and it works. If this is how I'm writing it, then we're all in trouble. But um, it needs more automation, obviously. Anyway, these uh, endpoints are created automatically through the snippets that are obviously not perfect, but are going to become perfect as I work on them and as I work on problems like this. And the colors, the completion, the everything the machine has to offer to aid you in your development is really good. Uh, you should use it and you should uh, explore ways how to automate whatever you're doing to the fullest because human brain is prone to error when repeating and computer not so much with the recent bugs in Intel maybe, but yeah, the computer does it better than we do, and that's the point then to do it actually automatically, so you're not uh, thinking about how to write something. You're thinking about your idea and how to connect all the um individual parts of code snippets into a coherent shape. So for the next week, I'm gonna show you how to uh, apply front end to this, I'm obviously going to have to explain how the numbers work in Freenet when you're parsing them, and we're going to see how maybe how you should start if you're a visual type, how you should start planning your page, then development, and so on, because maybe the problem is such that you should start with design. Who knows? But we're gonna see that all next week. Uh, Thank you for your for watching, and please consider our Patreon page down at it's gonna be at the comments or uh, in the comments below the video. So please help us to get into our new uh, venue, new apartment easier, and get this teaching and education going on in the real space. Until then, bye bye.